Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new Disney Pixar film Finding Dory. Finding Dory. Not only is this film longly anticipated, fans have been waiting for this film for numerous years. But this film takes place 1 year after the events of Finding Nemo. And in this film, Dory has a long-term memory that is way deep in her brain that she finally has realized and that she's had all this time through these events that happen early on in the movie. And she thinks she might have found a way to meet her parents after all these years of not seeing them. So through the help of Marlin and Nemo, and other characters we're familiar with like Crush and all of them, she basically goes on this journey to hopefully find what happened to her parents. But along the way, basically she gets mistakenly labeled as kind of this injured fish by this marine life healing center that helps fish kind of get onto their natural ways in the wildlife again. So these people think that she might have hurt her fin or was gasping for air or was low on oxygen or whatever the case might have been. So basically, Dory gets taken away to this place, and now Nemo and Marlin are trying to get into this place to hopefully help find not only Dory but to help her find her parents, like she has been this whole movie. And along the way, she meets characters like Hank the Octopus and characters that you're going to be newly introduced to in this movie that also help her hopefully find her parents. So overall, guys, I really like this movie a lot. It's definitely not as good as the first Finding Nemo, but I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a very good Pixar sequel. It's not their best sequel they've ever worked on. I think Toy Story 3 was probably a good example of a good sequel from them. And I also thought Monsters University was quite good too back when that came out. So Finding Dory, it's probably right below those other two movies. So as far as Pixar sequels go, it's probably for me at the moment Toy Story 3, Monsters University, and then probably Finding Dory after that. And don't get me wrong, I love like Toy Story 2, Cars 2, not so much. Um, but I think for the most part, they're pretty good with sequels. Obviously they're better with original stories, but they're as far as animation companies go, they're pretty good with sequels, I think. Um, but in this, what I thought of it, in the positives and the negatives, um, I thought first and foremost, the film really makes us love Dory even more. And that's a good thing, if for those who kind of found Dory to be a little annoying in the first film, I think this film really helps us really care for her a lot more now that we know more about her backstory and what happened with her parents and everything. We really do care about this character, at least for me anyway. And I really liked Dory in the first film. I didn't find her annoying at all. I really did like this character a lot, and I like her even more in this movie. So for those who really weren't big Dory fans, but you liked Finding Nemo, the movie itself, I think Finding Dory will help you like Dory even more because we do get to learn more about her and we were given more reasons to care about why it's important that she finds her parents and what happened to them. Another big positive for this movie was I liked how it was nostalgic to the first film. It was nostalgic to all those characters we loved from the first Finding Nemo movie. Um, it helped me appreciate those things I loved about that first film so much and why those characters were so much fun in that first film and why they're fun in this new adventure. And it's just a very fun, nostalgic time, not, remembering both Finding Nemo and helping us fall in love with this new Nemo adventure as well. Another big positive about Finding Dory is Hank the Octopus. Very fun new character. Ed O'Neill did a very good job voicing this character. We really do care about him. We really care about him helping Dory with her quest and Dory helping him with his quest. The movie dives into details as to why Hank is the way he is, why his motivations are the way they are. He kind of can scroll around like a ninja. He can camouflage into things in the environments around him. Very fun character. I don't know if octopuses could really do all these things that Hank could, but it is an animated film, so they can kind of play around with it the way they want. But a very fun character. I cared about him. I cared about his motivations, and I cared about him helping Dory find her way with things as well. And overall, this is a very well acted, voice acted movie. The voice acting is very good because sometimes you'll watch a cartoon like, oh, well, they just had to speak that one line into the microphone and then they were done for the day. This film really felt like these people voicing these characters were really in these situations in these movies. So if it's a tense situation, it really does feel tense. So Andrew Stanton, who directed this movie, I really felt like he did a great job, really putting perspective for the actors and actresses, really helping them know, why that line is the way it is, why it's really feels tense or feels sad or feels happy. Just really good voice acting in this film. And Pixar obviously does this in a lot of their previous films too. But for some odd reason, Finding Dory really nailed it in the voice acting department. Just very, very well done. This film also has great animation. Obviously, the first Finding Nemo did too. But the animation really did flow well. It really did feel like we were watching fish swimming around in the ocean, interacting with each other. Potentially, do fish really do this with each other? This film makes you kind of believe that they might have a little social life of their own. Just really great animation, really believable. So Pixar, once again, they're really upping their game with the animation. Very good stuff. I also liked all the great sea themed environments in this movie. Just a lot of fun, great to look at. There were some scenes too where it's like, water in a room or like water in a tank. And it really does look like real water. It really looks like they went out to an aquarium somewhere or something and filmed water and put it into the movie. It really does look amazing. They also kind of have like a SeaWorld theme in this healing center that Dory goes to. It really works well for this movie, so a lot of fun with these environments. For my negatives of Finding Dory, because like I said, I do think Finding Nemo is the better movie out of these two Nemo movies. But my negatives for this Finding Dory movie specifically is it just didn't feel as magical as the first film. The first film really took us into the ocean. It really dived us into this world and we wanted to learn more about it, and we really cared that for me personally too, I felt Nemo's situation was a little more tragic and more devastating, I guess. Don't get me wrong, Dory's was too, but for me, because that was so, obviously he was in this office very far away. It's harder to get there for these fish. The journey itself just felt more complicated. It felt more difficult this time around because everything is, and I'll get to this other negative here in a second, everything felt so close and convenient. And I guess it just, for some odd reason, that first film just felt more magical. That's the best way I can put it. I think that's what I like better about the first film. It's just more magical than this one. Another negative I have with Finding Dory is everything falls apart by the third act. It's a very sloppy third act. There's like 4 or 5 big ideas going around during that third act. It's all very sloppy. As far as Pixar endings go, this film really bothered me as far as how it ended. I really thought it was sloppy and not done right. So for those who are wondering how the film ends, obviously I won't spoil it in this review, but to me, it was very sloppy, and I felt they could have completely redone the ending. Another negative I have with the movie, and I briefly covered this earlier, everything feels so close range in this movie. Every environment, like I said, great to look at, great sea-themed environments, but everything felt like it took place in like a 50-yard radius around each other the whole movie. They're really, because in the first film, we're in the ocean. We're the ocean is their playground. And this film, because it is like a water center and it's so close to where the film began and where the film ends, everything felt like it took place within a 50-yard radius. And to me, that's really too bad because the first Finding Nemo film was, with this huge ocean, and they got to go all the way to this dentist office to go find Nemo and everything. And there's so many directions they could have taken and stuff. And like I said, kind of like the movie Deadpool, for those who saw that earlier and saw my review for it. Once again, with that movie, it just everything felt so close range and so claustrophobic. And then it's a movie about ocean life, and you just can't do that. I really feel like you have to really make it feel like it's this big place where anything can happen and there's so many directions you can take the characters in, and to me everything felt really close range, and that's really too bad. Another negative I had with the movie was there was a lot of recycled Pixar film story elements. One element that really stood out to me as far as recycled went was, for those who remember Toy Story 3, where the kids are picking up the toys and, putting crayons on them and putting, licking Buzz Lightyear's helmet and everything. There's a scene in this movie that I won't spoil, but it feels very in the spirit of that. And to me, I felt like they basically were looking back at all their films while they were writing this movie and be like, oh, we'll just take that one thing from Toy Story 3, put it in a Finding Nemo story. And for those who see it the way it is, that's basically what they were doing here, and how that's how it works for Finding Nemo. But there was other things too, like because like Sigourney Weaver, I think actually voice acted in Wall-E. They use her voice again here for another purpose, but to me, it felt like a recycled thing from Wall-E. It felt like because it was a sequel, they felt like they had to do everything in the spirit of what they've done earlier, and I didn't like how they did that. So overall, I'm going to give Finding Dory a 9 out of 10. I think it's a very wonderful movie. It makes you love Dory more. It's nostalgic to the first film and its characters. Hank the Octopus is a fun new character, so if they do make a third Finding Nemo film down the road, hopefully they have Hank, because I think he's a very fun character. Great voice acting in the movie. The animation is great. Great sea-themed environments. But it just doesn't feel as magical as the first film. The third act of the film is very sloppy and not very well done. Everything felt close range. It felt like every scene in the movie happened within a 50-yard radius to where the film began. And it just felt like they just recycled a ton of other Pixar elements just to make it work for this movie. So 9 out of 10. I think it's a very fun film. Can't wait to re-explore the movie and through rewatching of it. And like I said, if you love Finding Nemo, if you love Pixar films, I think you'll have a lot of fun here. It's not a horrible film. I think it's actually a very good film, but it's very flawed, and it's just not quite as good as the first Finding Nemo, but it's still a lot of fun.